Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Raising Vibrations with myself, Simon. Today, I'm continuing on with my series on the astrology in itself and talking about the 12 constellations or 12 signs that exist within our zodiac, and talking to you about how these archetypes within our consciousness or within our world manifest our reality, i.e., create our reality. They are the seeds in which our reality are created, and each of them have different perspectives or blueprints that allow us to, in the totality of it, understand the nature of our existence on Earth. So these come up in our lives as ways in which we are, expressions of being, etc., etc. So that's exactly what I'm doing today. I'm talking about the archetype of Virgo. We're looking at the 6th house in astrology. We're looking at the sign Virgo, and we're looking at the other side of Mercury. All right, and probably at some point we'll be understanding the nature to Chiron, but we're still developing that, our understanding of it at least, in terms of healing, Virgo healing. Right, so Virgo, okay, so everybody that has been watching this series, I hope that you started at Aries, because I do this process in a progressive manner. In other words, I begin at Aries and I show the astrological connection between each of the symbols, and it's really important to understand that each symbol has actually got a sequence, and so this sequence is really important to grasp in order to understand the next sign that comes after it. So I highly suggest that that's what you guys go do. Start at Aries. I've got it in a playlist, so you can just click play and just watch throughout the whole presentation. They're only about 10 minutes long, giving some brief overviews but some deep understandings of it at the same time. Okay, so the astrology sign Virgo, we are looking at the symbol of self-analysis. Okay, self-analysis. So as you know, we began at Aries and we were searching for our freedom to understand who we are. We then came to Taurus. We developed our value systems. We then were able to communicate through Gemini. And then Cancer came along. We created an ego. And then we were like, right, this is who I am. Now I'm going to present it to the world, Leo. But unfortunately, within this process, we haven't developed the awareness of others. And so Virgo comes along and it starts to deflate the ego by taking the pyramid where you are existing at the top and flipping it the other way around. And so instead of the perspective being all about me, your perspective is all about them, which is why Virgo will relate to the relationship of service of others. Okay, why? Because the attention is on others instead of yourself. And it is through that experience that you start to become aware of the relationship that you have to outside of yourself. So self-analysis comes into place because it is about making us aware of where we have our flaws, where we have things that are missing, where we have things that need improvements. So Virgo then will relate to the nature of our competence, our ability to have a sense of understanding, and then that relationship to that will relate to our competence. So Virgo also relates then to acquiring large amounts of information and then putting it in an organized fashion so that we are able to understand where it exists within our consciousness and how. So it's a step-by-step process, which is why Virgo in itself will have the reality looking at everything in a linear logical way. This comes from there, then that's the next process, then that's the next process, and that's the next process. So a Virgo energy would be something like choosing to bake a cake. And you would need to follow a set of instructions in order to understand how this process collectively will fit together. So Virgo is about putting things in order and being able to experience them in a linear logical way so that we're able to have clearness. And so that is another aspect of Virgo. So there are 3 dimensions that I've spoken about it now. It is about becoming aware of others through service. It is self-analysis, in other words, looking at myself and finding my imperfections, purifying myself. And then thirdly, it is about getting things in a logical order or a linear logical order so that we're able to follow something in a way that makes sense, a step-by-step process, one step at a time. So it's being in the moment. Virgo is reality through that process. So when we understand Virgo in our astrology charts, we are looking at the nature of how to get our lives in order. What can we do that is the next step in our process to accomplish what it is that we want so that we can self-improve, so that we can be of service to people. So these are very important understandings of relationship to Virgo. So if you've got sun signs in Virgo, if you've got any symbols that are relating to Virgo, this would be something that is a very big part of your soul's growth. It is about becoming aware, self-aware, and then also through that process, in stepping up to the plate, being present, and allowing yourself to get yourself into order. Now, unfortunately, we do live in what we call patriarchal times. And so what this means is that when we're looking at this, the symbol Virgo, we are not actually looking at it through its natural way of being, which is to raise our sense of awareness so that we can then have a more competent state of mind. We can have a more aware state of mind. No, unfortunately, it's not the case. Inner judgment, self-criticism, okay, feeling that you are not worthy, feelings of uselessness, now all relate to Virgo. Why? Because firstly, in our world that we live in patriarchal conditioning, the ego. So it is everybody for themselves, which means that there is no such thing as the Pisces energy of how can I be of service and how is everything one and we're all connected. It is about how can I get to the next step. And so what we have here is the relationship between Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus. Taurus is our values, how we value ourselves, our inner dialogue to ourselves. Virgo, the relationship to our value, okay, through what we are competent, what we have to value, right? In other words, our education, for instance, our competence. And then through Capricorn, how can we integrate that within society? And of course, then through that, our maturity, right? That's the natural way of this triad, this earth triad to work, but it doesn't work like that. So what happens is that we have a hierarchy in place, Capricorn, that passes judgments down to us, which then come out as a low self-worth or low self-esteem, because the relationship to ourselves is not one of, hey, actually I'm infinitely wonderful and great and that I possess all the capacity in the world. No, it actually comes from feeling like you are not of any worth. Now, the reason why that's the case is because the relationship between Pisces and Virgo is about this religion. And so many of us have lived lives in which we have been exposed directly to the nonsense and like noise that is about this relationship to God and Him being outside of ourselves, and we are being imperfect. Virgo, again, because of the relationship to self-awareness, the flipping of the pyramid so that we can become aware of others, the deflating of the ego, we have through many of our lives experienced inner judgment because we are imperfect. Okay, so as an example, you can just look at the nature of how people in the religions are denying themselves something, okay, because they are not worthy of this process, or they haven't done something that God feels like is right. So judgment comes into process. Now this is so deeply entrenched within our consciousness, within our reality, that we're not even aware of this silent killer that stops anybody from actually reaching their true potential, because they're always doubting themselves. Virgo, doubt. Okay, I can't do this. I'm not worthy enough. So this is a very painful truth about Virgo. And whenever you've got it in your chart, for instance, there'll be mass amounts of not feeling worthy in this experience. So Virgo is a very dangerous sign when it comes to our astrology at this point in time, which is why one of my biggest drives within my own work is to actually purify everybody that has got this Virgo archetype within them, of getting rid of this nonsense about feeling that you're not worthy, because it's a load of crap. It's all fear-based consciousness. It's not the case. Okay, it's about letting go of this process and realizing that Virgo actually is here to help you improve your life by getting things in order, being organized, valuing that process. The inner relationship to yourself is awesome. So Virgo, with all of that babble over there, correlates to these dynamics. And the last sort of 3 minutes that I've been talking on, or 4 minutes I've been talking about Virgo, is actually a very, very important subject, which I'll be speaking about or that's what we'll be basing a lot on my channel about, is how to purify from these negative thoughts. So for anybody that is studying astrology or knows a little bit of astrology or wants to understand their astrology chart in itself, and you're looking at the archetype of Virgo, hone in on where it is that you have some self-doubt. Hone in on where it is that you feel like you're not competent enough, and understand that this is all fear-based lineological thinking that have been judgments that have been passed down on your life. And it is not the truth. Okay? And use your Virgo energy to get your life into order. Take the steps necessary. Put the things in place. Get your work out and do the stuff that you need to get to where you want to be, your dreams. Okay? All right, guys. Thanks very much for listening to this episode on Virgo. I hope it was really insightful to all astrologers that are wanting to learn more about the sign, and everybody that's just, popping in by and just having a quick lesson on astrology. If you like my content, hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you very much to everybody that has been subscribing to my channel. I greatly appreciate it all because, you know, this is one of the work that I'm doing at this point in time. So thanks very much, guys. And until then, have a fantastic day. Take care. Bye-bye.